Okay, I think we're good to go, right? Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for sticking with us. Really appreciate it. I know it's been a long day, and as I said, lunch is coming after, so much appreciated, and hopefully you'll enjoy the next session. My name is Andrea Divina. I'm going to talk about GenAI, but I know you've heard a lot about GenAI today. In fact, it was mentioned probably pretty much all the sessions already. What I want to talk about more is, okay, we are embracing GenAI into the organization, but how do we do it in a sort of secure fashion? Right? How do we look into what people are doing with those applications, and most importantly, what are they actually putting in those applications as well? I've been with the company for about 2 years now. Prior to that, I used to work at Microsoft, and this topic is actually very, very close to my heart. So if you want to have a conversation afterwards, I'm more than happy to do so. This is interesting. I know it feels like GenAI has been with us for a while, and ChatGPT is kind of second nature for a lot of you, but it hasn't actually been that long since it took the world by storm, right? And if you think about it, it's only been like 2 years since we had all of that, right? So I remember quite vividly when it came out, and everybody was so excited about it. In fact, if you look at the stats, ChatGPT was the fastest growing app ever, right? And it's quite interesting because before that, it was the Pokemon Go, which is quite a change, right? But this really, really became very popular, and it became part of our lives very, very quickly. Again, there's loads of stuff going on. You heard about deepfakes and stuff like that, so AI is good, but bad at the same time. So loads going on in there, but it has become part of our daily lives as well. ChatGPT, I use it pretty much on a daily basis nowadays as well. But there's others, right? Microsoft Copilot as well. There's loads of good applications in the enterprise that you can make use of. And now it's with us. It's actually in those devices that we carry in our pockets, right? If you're on a Mac, especially, I'm not sure about Android because I don't use that, but on a Mac, it's already integrated with the device itself. So loads of great applications, loads of stuff going on, and it's already part of our lives, right? So we can't actually escape it. And we can't block it either, because people will complain, right? So what do we do with it, right? That's what we're going to find out. This is interesting as well. DeepSeek came about, last month, and it emerged during the weekend, made a big splash. By Monday, everybody got so excited about it. Tuesday, markets crashed because guess what? They could do the same thing cheaper, like you don't have to buy an expensive hardware to run it. And then Wednesday, Thursday, it all crashed back again because people realized, oh, hang on a minute, it has critical flaws when it comes to data sovereignty. What happens with that data? Who owns it? Loads of stuff came out, and people started panicking. So it went from here to here very, very quickly. Interestingly enough, I was working with a customer that week on a proof of concept, and one of the first things they said, we need to block this. How do we do it? It took us about 2 minutes to do that with Netskope, by the way, and I'll show you how quickly. But it was quite interesting. Point I want to make with this one, there will be more, right? This is just the first probably tool that came and changed things slightly. I think there's going to be more. I think this opened the door for more innovation in the AI space, and we'll see more of DeepSeek, whatever the name's going to be next. But it's going to have the same questions. Who's got access to my data? Where is that going? How do we contain this stuff, right? Because people are going to use it. Some of the things I wanted to bring up from the early beginnings of this, if you remember back in 2023, when ChatGPT came about and everybody got so excited about it, Samsung got themselves in the news because someone went in there, put this source code of the company and said, optimize this stuff for me, which was great, but then, again, you just gave the source code to someone. Who is that someone? In case of DeepSeek, we probably know who that is. But in case of other apps, we're still wondering where is that data saved, who's got access to it, right? So that was in the news for obviously the wrong reasons. There are many like that, so I'm not going to bore you with it. But the next one I want to show up is quite interesting. It was an article in CISO Online, only came 2 weeks ago. And it says that nearly 10% of the employees that use GenAI apps, actually they put sensitive data into those, right? And it's so easy to do it. Imagine, right, you have a large data set that you're trying to sort out, you're trying to get some meaningful data out of it. You just chuck it in there and say, hey, ChatGPT, make this useful for me, right? It's so easy. You're a chemical company, you have a lot of research, I don't know, 500 pages of it. The easiest thing to do, chuck it all in there and say, hey, create me a research paper based on this. But then all your sensitive data just went in there, right? That is what we're trying to contain. And that's why this stuff sounded quite interesting, right? So I still think that 10% is a very conservative number. I think it's a lot more than that. I want to show this because we're talking about Lipstick, and they made themselves famous very quickly with this as well after they got accused of actually stealing data. But the other interesting thing, regulation also follows this topic quite closely, right? In the European Union, we have the Artificial Intelligence Act. In the UK, we have something similar. US is working on some stuff as well. There are loads of regulations coming with this. Which brings me to my next snippet. There was an article in Gartner, again, not long ago, which I'm grateful because it helped me a lot with this presentation, talking about this and where the risk actually is with GenAI, right? The stuff we talked about, right? So data protection, but also the lack of a consistent regulation across, right? Everybody's working on their own regulation, which may have gaps when you put them together. So this is where this comes from. So there's a risk from cross-border GenAI misuse. What does that say to us? It says that we need to make sure that we take care of after ourselves before regulation will get this right. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. You probably get the point until right now, but just one more thing. Generative AI is recognized as a top priority in most companies out there. And in fact, I have conversations with customers pretty often, and it's one of the main topics they want to talk about. We have people using GenAI in our organization, we know about it. What we don't know is how to use it. What does it go in there? And we need to get a handle of that. And we talked about sensitive data, right? And based on our stats, sensitive data is shared in those apps pretty much every hour, right? Okay, so this feels quite important. It's kind of hopefully got your attention so far. But how do we do it, right? How do we enable it in a way that we can control? How do we empower the people to use it, but in a way that we can make it safe for them, right? And for the organization as well. So we came up with this as basically a 3-steps triangle to safely enable GenAI. And to be fair, any other app, you can replace GenAI with any other web app, because that's what it is at the end of the day. So first things first, you need to detect and make sure that you have visibility of what people are using, whether it's ChatGPT, Gemini, DeepSeek, or many, many others, GPTs, there's thousands of them out there. Make sure you detect those, right? And then, how do you do it, right? You educate people, you give them prompts, guide them, but you also want to stop things that are really critical at the same time, right? I'm all about empowering the users, but sometimes you need to put a hard stop to some things, right? Too much empowerment sometimes may be dangerous. But that should still be the leading one. At the end of the day, what we're trying to do is basically enable those applications, but reducing risk for the organization, right? Before we go into those, there's only one thing I wanted to share. We can't block GenAI apps completely, right? That's not happening. What happens when you block someone from doing something that they really want to do? They're going to go around it, like they did in this picture, right? So if we're going to start blocking GenAI applications, people are just going to take their personal phone, they're going to do it there, which gives us zero visibility into what they're doing. And it's actually more dangerous than it is. So, how do we do this stuff? I want to give you some examples that we get with Netskope, right? So, what you see here is a GenAI usage dashboard, which you can customize, you can clone and create yourself, and stuff like that. But I'm not sure you can see it, it's quite small. But what you do get in there, so in my demo environment, about 30% of users are actually using those apps, which is pretty good. And then you can see what they're doing in those apps. So in here, you'll have ChatGPT, you'll have Gemini, even two of them are using DeepSeek, right? You need to have to work with those users. But you can see what they've been doing in there. They've been uploading files, they've been browsing, they've been posting stuff to it, so just normal prompts as well. And then you can see what we did with those applications, right? So in here, DeepSeek, the two users that tried to go in there, we blocked them straight away. And then the others, we actually let them go, but only after they provided a justification, right? So all those justifications that we capture, we can get some statistics on them as well. And then we can generate some nice graphs, and you can have this report run every week or every day, whatever works, and have it emailed to you or your boss and so on. So there's a low visibility that we get. So this is a detection phase I talked about earlier. The other thing that we want to detect is, okay, we're going to let people use ChatGPT, but which version of ChatGPT? The free version of the enterprise paid version that the company is paying for, right? And obviously you have more control on that one. So you get a justification box like this, so you remember those words that you saw there, they come from this, right? When people go in and say, you know what, I want to use this because it will help me with my work, or whatever people are putting in there, right? Configuration, speech writing, there we go, planning. So this is what people do. They go in there, they're now empowered to do so. There's no ticket yet, so we don't block it. We don't have angry people calling us, say, hey, I want to use this, unblock it for me. It's all working fine. Or you can just give them a warning. So this could be, right, one of them. And you can tell them, hey, this is blocked, I'm not allowed to use this. Or just ask them to confirm or acknowledge that they read the company policy for those apps. Right? So it's different ways we can educate people. That's what I'm trying to say here. But as I said, it's all great about education, but when things get really, really serious, we want to make sure that we block things straight away. You've got some examples here on how we did that. In fact, you'll see down in the corner, I'm not sure if you can see it, is deepseek.com, right? So that's exactly an alert you would get, and that says you're trying to access this application, we're not allowing it, it's restricted, you will be redirected to ChatGPT. So the moment the user clicks OK, screen will flip, ChatGPT, right? So safely, they got notification, they know what it is that they've done wrong, and now they are going back to ChatGPT. What happens when they try to upload sensitive data? I was trying to upload a driver's license, UK driver's license, and I was telling ChatGPT, read this information from this ID and go and create me a bank account on this bank. And then I got that message, hang on a minute, you're uploading personal data, you should not put that in there, right? So that's completely blocked. So there is no justification box this time, right? We want to block that thing. Another one I was trying to do, I had the board meeting transcript where they were talking about a sort of very important project, right? So there's hundreds of pages of transcripts where they're talking about things that were quite sensitive. That one, I let it go just for the sake of the example. But in that case, I'm allowing the user to actually use that application and upload the file, but they have to provide justification, which means there's a ticket that's logged, we know what happened, we know when, we know what file, we know what data, and we can get on top of it very quickly if it's something that we need to action on, right? So we do have that option as well. As I said, so education is probably key here. I think, and I believe, and based on what I've seen, based on our internal research, is the most effective as well. You saw the picture, right? And when you block someone from doing something, they'll find another way. However, if you explain to them, your action contradicts employee handbook rule number 10 around data protection, are you sure you want to do this, right? 9 out of 10 people will be like, hang on a minute, this sounds dangerous. Maybe I shouldn't be doing that, right? Otherwise, they see a blocking page, they're like, oh, okay. So I find this to be more effective. So you have the justification box here, And then you have the alert over there, right? So there's two ways you could do this. But at the end of the day, what are we actually trying to do with this stuff, right? What we're trying to do is literally reduce risk and make sure we create better digital citizens at the end of the day. So what we're trying to say is we need to look at who the user is, what device are they coming from, are they safe, are they potentially compromised? Once we've checked that one, then we want to look to see where they're going, what type of application they want to access. Is that application safe for the organization? Do you want to allow it or not? What instance of that application? Hey, is a Google Drive personal or is it Google Drive that's corporate? Same with ChatGPT. Is it enterprise ChatGPT or is it a free version of ChatGPT? So we've checked the user, we checked the device, now we're checking the application status. Is that something we want to allow? The answer is yes to all of those. Great. What are they doing in there now? Are they uploading any sensitive data? Are they inputting anything that could be risky to the company? Or anything like that, right? So we need to look into that data specifically. So that's what we're trying to do. So the way we achieve that is with the Netskope Zero Trust engine, right? So you've got identity trust, as I was saying earlier. Again, I know the topic is ChatGPT and generative AI and all that, but it could be anything. It could be any app. So who's the user? What's the device? Is it BOD, personal device, or is it company device? How about the location? Do we trust that location? Is it in a different country, or Starbucks network, or is it company network? And again, application, instance, and then we start looking at the activities that happen in there. I'll give you an example. We have a user that has a high risk score because they just clicked on a potentially phishing email, right? Their risk level went up, but they're also a AWS console applicant. So if they have a high risk score in Netskope and then they go to the AWS console to do something, we can restrict their actions in there. As in, if they want to delete a VM, we can block that. If they want to create another one, right? Crypto mining is still going on, strong. If they want to create new virtual machines, new servers, we can block that too, based on their risk level. We can say, potentially compromised, block that, right? All sorts of things like this, great examples, and I've got plenty of them. So if you do want to chat more, let's do it during lunch. And then, again, coaching, don't forget about that. Let's coach the users rather than blocking them from accessing things, right? That's it. I think that works the best, is the most efficient way of achieving what we want to do, which is reduce risk and keeping the organization safe. And with that in mind, hopefully that was short and sweet enough. Thank you for your attention. If you want to scan this, this will take you to the Netskope page where you'll find more information, including a recorded demo. I can run a demo upstairs if you want me to. If the QR code doesn't work, you'll have the link as well. But no, thank you very much for your attention, and I'll see you soon.